out windows, attacking cars, so they could show it on the news saying, look, the protesters are attacking people's cars, when the protesters were really attacking government buildings, to try to swing the rest of the public in behind the criminal government that's literally grabbing all the infrastructure and handing it over to foreign banks. Why would the police all over the world want to stage terror attacks? That's what these provocateur attacks are, to demonize the public. Don't those officers know they're destroying their society? Well, no, their argument is with military tactics, because the police have now been militarized, just like the Army Field Manual states, it's been declassified. We've got to stage terror attacks. We've got to, break trash cans, break windows, attack cars. The next step is staging larger terror attacks. See, that's how the mindset begins. They'll knock out a window. Why not blow up a building? To blame it on their political enemies. We got to fight dirty to win this fight. Now, I say all that in the context of, we're safe when the police have machine guns, but we're not safe when the citizens have firearms. And then they try to spin it and say, well, we don't want people with fully auto. Well, number one is somebody who's pretty good with a rifle and a handgun. Let me just tell you, you don't want semi-auto. I mean, you don't want full auto unless you were in a machine gun nest with hundreds of troops charging you and have a larger, heavy machine gun. That's what that's for. What troops use in real combat generally, especially if they're trained properly, is the single tap or 3-round burst. And I found with a 3-round burst that it's not even as accurate as single fire. I mean, you can drive tanks with single fire with a 3-round burst. Your first round's going to be good, but there's going to be some pull on the rifle, even if you're a master marksman with a 3 burst. Back in the day when I was a real gun aficionado, I've talked about how we go to these big gun training seminars, mainly police at them, so I had a chance to shoot quite a few fully automatics, and I also shooting with others that have the special tax tag for fully auto, and I just don't like fully auto. But the point is the media knows the public's ignorant, so they use that, and then they claim, look at all these thousands of different types of rifles worldwide made. Let's ban them because they look like a fully auto. So this guy shows his semi-auto 223. It's got a scope on it. How scary, a slave. The first gun laws were against black Americans in this country. We can't have blacks being armed because they needed to be able to lynch them and abuse them and take their property and keep them in their place. Slaves in Rome couldn't be armed. And it all boils down to Nazi Germany. The citizenry couldn't be armed. Tyranny always disarms the population. Tyrants always disarm the population. And they claim it's for the children and your safety. They know where they have gun restrictions, they have higher crime rates. They know more guns, less crime. They know people being armed is what this country was founded about. The Revolutionary War started in 1775 because of gun confiscation. And now the public's on to them. Now you see major polls, whereas about half the public was for gun control a decade ago. Now 70+% are against it. So they know they're losing the fight. So they're trying to come in and brainwash the public. Now, look at how scared Joseph Biden is and how he's taken back and freaked out by a slave with a rifle. And he says the guy's mentally ill and he's a CNN correspondent for YouTube. The guy's mentally ill and that he needs to have his gun confiscated. Here it is.
Attacking poverty, bringing people together, dealing with those kids in the ghettos that are heavy users of gun violence and are victims of gun violence, to make sure that this country attacks the core problems of poverty, having child care, bringing parents together.
Senator Biden, are you going to be able to keep his babies safe?
I'll tell you what, if that's his baby, he needs help. I think he just made an admission against self-interest. I don't know that he's mentally qualified to own that gun. No, I'm being serious. Look, this idea we go around talking about people who own. I'm the guy that originally wrote the assault weapons ban that became law, and then we got defeated. Then Dianne Feinstein went to town on it and did a great job. Look, we should be working with law enforcement right now to make sure that we protect people against people who are not capable of knowing what to do with a gun because they're either mentally imbalanced and or because they have a criminal record. And anyway.
Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Back it up. I mean, look at how threatened he is. I mean, he is so upset. And the White House has these questionnaires now for anybody working anywhere in the executive branch, even outside the White House. Do you own a firearm? Do you believe the Second Amendment? And if they say yes, they're not being hired. It's okay to have the Secret Service guarding them with guns. It's okay for Biden to want to use the U.S. Army on the streets of America, and the Army openly admits that they're going to be waging war on the American people. They say we're preparing to engage the public. See, they trained you to accept this police state in the name of fighting al-Qaeda, and then now they're baiting and switching, going, there's blonde-haired blue al-Qaeda everywhere. There's gun owners. There's militias. We've got to take their guns. And then we have Barack Obama's real gun record. And we're going to go over some of that now. Let's analyze this a little clip of this ABC News piece dealing with the record gun sales. And this is a month old. The gun sales are only accelerating now. And Obama's now coming out and saying, well, I'm for the Second Amendment under Chicago and D.C. laws, which means total ban. He says we have a right to reasonably restrict them, which means totally ban them. Because this is a criminal. This is a thug. He works for the elite, and his job is to disarm the slaves. Just like blacks couldn't own guns 150 years ago in this nation. First gun laws. Just like Native Americans. I mean, if Senator Biden was some army general out in South Dakota riding down and killing Native Americans, you know, they'd get freaked out. We got Indians with guns. We got free people with guns. They could defend themselves. They don't want to go to the reservations. They don't want to be disarmed. They don't want to be domesticated. They don't want to be given poison blankets. They don't want their inoculations. That's the modern system. So, oh my gosh, a black with a gun, a Native American with a gun. It's the same thing, but we're all slaves now. So let's go ahead and go to this clip.
For the election, Colorado had to deal with 1,500 applications from new gun owners in a single day. That's a record. Glenn Parshall runs a gun store in Las Vegas. He says his customers aren't willing.
Pause. See, and that's what it is. I've had these cowardly gun dealers for years. When I walk in an Austin gun shop, no matter what gun shop it is, they'll say, Alex, I'm tired of you on the radios. I heard you, number one, saying that Bush was for the assault weapons ban when he wasn't. And then there's always one clerk who goes, no, Bob, he was for it. You know, because they're in denial. And the next they'll say, well, I hear you say it's gun registration to fill out the NICS. That scares off customers. Then they go buy them from private sellers. And I'm like, well, if you got together as gun owners, instead of having the Judas Goat NRA pose like they're your savior, but then always sell you out, you could get together as gun dealers and repeal these unconstitutional laws. It is a registration. They internally call the NICS system that. Now they want to put misdemeanors on it. And they know long rifle, shotgun, or handgun. They know what you've got, where you live, where you're at. It is an application. It's turning a right into a privilege. And I have people in Texas come up to me who've lived there all their lives and go, Alex, how do I get a gun? How do I get a license to own one? See, they give you a concealed carry, and then people think you have to have a license to have a gun, period. That's how it started in New York. There's no license. We need Vermont style, where they say it's the Second Amendment. But see, under Anglo-Saxon common law, in Texas and everywhere else, you can have a shotgun, you can walk around with a handgun on your side, but the police will violate common law and swarm you, taser you, attack you. People try to take their rifle out, put it in their back seat of their car to go deer hunting. Cops show up because the neighbor sees a gun. They're watching sitcoms. They're watching the news. They're being conditioned that guns are illegal when they're not. And police will even ask you in Texas, you got a permit for that? There is no permit. A permit is a license to do something that would be illegal. It's a permission. Now, under the common law, in states that still follow it, I can carry a rifle publicly or a handgun. You understand? This is all lawyer tricks. But under common law, you cannot carry concealed weapons. So they come out with state laws to carry a concealed weapon. Under common law, you do need a license because that's illegal. You bear your arms openly as a freeman. That way it's an armed culture. Everybody accepts it. But see, first they make us treat it like it's pornography or something. We put in a black bag. We hide it. We're ashamed of it. See, now the moral authority's against it. And they trick you into going and getting a concealed carry when it turns a right into a privilege, instead of just demanding your right to carry a firearm. See how they play these legalese tricks? So, but notice this guy also says, yeah, it's Obama people coming in and buying guns. I've talked to a lot of gun dealers saying that that's happening even here in Texas. And this is happening because they all got on the hype bandwagon, and now they found out he really is for gun bans. And so they're even panicking. See, that's all part of the hype. It didn't matter. McCain was anti-gun, too. Don't think I'm for McCain here. They're both controlled. The point is, we're in trouble. Let's go back to the clip.
To gamble their guns on Obama, even if they voted for him.
One of the strangest things that I've had happen the past few weeks was I've had a lot of people coming in here wearing Obama buttons and Obama T-shirts in here to buy guns. They tell